Near the end of the workday, a downpour arrived without warning. Watching my colleagues leave one by one, I got the idea to call for a taxi. Just as I pulled out my phone, I saw a message from my wife, Lu Jingxian. "It's pouring. Wait for me at the company. I'll come pick you up." Okay, sure. I knew this was Lu Jingxian's way of making amends. Last week, on Lu Jingxian's birthday, I had taken leave and booked a restaurant, planning to celebrate properly with her. However, I waited until the restaurant closed and Lu Jingxian still didn't show up. On the taxi ride home, I scrolled through social media to pass the time, never expecting to see an update from her assistant, Fu Bowen. "The boss is treating us to a gathering. Such a happy day." The photo was a group shot of Lu Jingxian's subordinates, but she and Fu Bowen looked exceptionally close. When Lu Jingxian got home at 1 in the morning, I walked up to her with the photo and questioned her. "Today is your birthday. Didn't we already agree to have dinner together?" "Shin Wenhao, don't make a fuss. When we celebrate a birthday, doesn't matter, does it? I'm not just your wife. I'm also the boss of a company. What's wrong with treating my employees to a gathering when they meet their sales targets? If you have time to think about these superfluous things, you should go to bed." Lu Jingxian didn't even look at the photo in my hand and walked past me impatiently. I was stunned and silently deleted the saved photos. If she doesn't even care about her own birthday, why should I bother? From that night until now, we've been in a cold war for a week. If it were the old days, I would be the one trying to reconcile with her after a cold war. Now, with Lu Jingxian taking the initiative to make amends, I felt nothing and simply replied with a curt "okay." The rain got heavier and heavier, splashing up from the ground. But even with my pants soaked by the spray, I still couldn't wait for Lu Jingxian. Disappointed, I pulled out my phone and called a taxi. While waiting for the taxi, I saw Fu Bowen's latest social media post. Luckily, the boss gave me a ride home. Otherwise, I would have been drenched. Below the post was a picture of a familiar dashboard. On the dashboard was a doll, the one I had won together with Lu Jingxian when we first met. At first, when I wanted to put the doll in the car, Lu Jingxian had strongly disliked it. "This thing is not cute at all, and putting it in the car is a safety hazard." After my repeated requests, Lu Jingxian reluctantly allowed the doll to stay. Thinking of this, I felt a sense of release and liked the post and commented, "How enviable to have such a great boss." I knew that Lu Jingxian had broken her promise again, and the ride-sharing app showed that there were dozens of people waiting before me. I looked down at my already soaked pants, decisively canceled my order, and walked into the downpour with an umbrella. When I got home, Lu Jingxian wasn't back yet. Even though I took a shower and changed into dry clothes as soon as I arrived, I still felt a bit unwell. Just as I had fallen asleep, a rustling sound woke me up. It was Lu Jingxian returning. Perhaps she hadn't expected me to rest without waiting for her. She walked into the room and stood by the bed. I could feel her gaze on me, but my head was a bit dizzy, so I ignored her. After standing for a while, Lu Jingxian left the room, and I fell asleep again. When I woke up the next day, I only felt dizzy spells, and I didn't even notice the alarm clock ringing incessantly beside me. It wasn't until I heard Lu Jingxian's impatient click of her tongue that I was completely startled awake. I had a fever, but there was an important meeting I had to chair today. After weighing the options, I had no choice but to drag my tired body out the door. After arriving at the company, the colleague next to me noticed that I wasn't in good shape and thoughtfully brought me fever reducers. Just as I finished taking the medicine, a message from Shin Wenhao popped up. "Shin Wenhao, are you angry?" "Why would I be angry?" "But you didn't prepare breakfast for me today. Isn't that because you're angry?" "No, I was in a rush to leave this morning. I just forgot. Since we got married, making breakfast every morning before going out had become a habit of mine." Even though Lu Jingxian had never eaten it, not even during our Cold Wars, this habit had never been broken. But today I was really too rushed to leave, so I forgot to make breakfast. However, hearing Lu Jingxian's tone, which sounded like she was ordering a nanny, I still felt a little uncomfortable. I turned off my phone and walked into the conference room. The meeting was tedious, and it didn't end until close to quitting time. As soon as I turned on my phone, I saw a message from Lu Jingxian. "Almost off work, right? I'll pick you up tonight." "Okay. I'll wait for you downstairs at the company." However, after work, I endured the waves of dizziness and stood downstairs at the company for a full half hour, but Lu Jingxian still didn't appear. Just as I was about to go home on my own, Lu Jingxian called. "Wenhao, are you off work?" "Yeah, I'm at the company entrance, but I don't see you." I could hear the sound of fingers tapping on the dashboard from my phone. Lu Jingxian always did that to adjust her mood when she was impatient. Perhaps wanted to make up for standing me up yesterday. She unusually didn't explode. "Wenhao, did your company change the exit? I'm at your company entrance, but I don't see you either. Are you at the Fuyue building?" My hand holding the phone clenched unconsciously. On the other end, Lu Jingxian seemed to be venting her dissatisfaction, and even her tone rose several notches. Of course, after all, I'm your wife. How could I not know where you work? Listening to her confident reply, I couldn't help but lower my eyes. The Fuyua building was indeed where I worked before, but the company moved locations half a year ago. I even remember sending Lu Jingxian the new address specifically when we moved. What I didn't expect was that she still went to the wrong place today. I'll go back on my own. It's all one-way streets here. It'll be troublesome for you to come over. Lu Jingxian was silent for a long while on the phone. Then the call was disconnected. When I got home, Lu Jingxian was sitting on the sofa, her eyes fixed on the doorway. She got home even earlier than me? Since we got married, I was always the one to get home first. But even if the meal I had painstakingly prepared for her was cold, Lu Jingxian would not be home yet. At that time, I would always follow behind her and complain, asking why she didn't tell me when she was coming home late. She would always give me a cold glance and then choose to ignore me. So, you can't eat by yourself when I'm not home? Or do you want me to quit my job and just revolve around you all day? But I waited for you for so long. All the food got cold. Just throw it away if it's cold, right? Do you really have to bother me like this over such a small thing? After that, I never mentioned it again. I just silently put her portion of the meal in the warming cabinet. I never even dreamed of a scene like this, where she got home before me. And what was even more unexpected was that Lu Jingxian actually took the initiative to come towards me. Lu Jingxian stood beside me with her head lowered, like a child who had done something wrong. I'm sorry, I've been so busy lately my mind just didn't switch over, and I went to the wrong place. It's okay, I understand that you're busy at work. Yesterday was because the company's employees signed a big deal. They were temporarily clamoring for a gathering. So I forgot you were waiting for me. Yeah, I know you don't have to explain it specially. Listening to Lu Jingxian's explanation, I just responded perfunctorily. If it were in the past, if Lu Jingxian could patiently explain to me like this, I would have been ecstatic. But now, I felt no ripples in my heart and even a little annoyed with her. Are you angry? No. Why would I be angry? Then I've already explained it to you. Why do you still look so indifferent? You didn't make breakfast this morning, and now you're deliberately acting cold? Isn't that anger? In that instant, I actually felt that Lu Jingxian was a little unreasonable. And this kind of scene was not the first time since we got married. In the past, whenever this happened, Lu Jingxian would always stand silently beside me, coldly watching me, her eyes like she was watching a clown perform. Looking back now, I must have been very annoying to her. No wonder she always stayed out very late before coming home. But I clearly didn't feel angry now. Why was she panicking? I imitated Lu Jingxian's previous behavior and walked right past her. If you don't have anything else, I'm going to take a shower first. I haven't taken a shower either. Why don't we shower together tonight? No, I don't feel well. I need to rest after showering. I shook off Lu Jingxian's hand and went straight into the bathroom. Just as I closed the door, I heard the sound of the front door closing. Lu Jingxian went out again. Was this the start of another Cold War? I shook my head and turned on the shower, letting the warm water wash over me. In the past, every time we had a Cold War, I would be anxious and try to figure out ways to end it. Sometimes I would pretend to send the wrong message and immediately recall it, or find a caption to post on my social media. But Lu Jingxian would never be curious about what I recalled, nor would she look at my social media. At that time, my mind was completely focused on her, so much so that I often got distracted at work. But now, not only did I not have that anxious feeling, but I felt inexplicably relaxed and comfortable all over. Especially at night. I really wanted to get a good night's sleep, but Lu Jingxian, who came home late, would always wake me up. Now that she had moved to the guest room, my sleep was surprisingly good. I didn't even have to spend time cooking for her because even if I did, she wouldn't eat it. Since we got married, most of my energy had been focused on Lu Jingxian, so much so that the time and space I had for myself shrank more and more. The thing I did most every day was to send messages to Lu Jingxian, asking if she had eaten, if anything fun had happened, and tirelessly sharing my daily life with her. Although she rarely replied, and when she did, it was always a simple perfunctory response, I was still happy to do it. At that time, I rarely worked overtime, only thinking about going home quickly to cook for her, wanting her to have a hot meal when she got home. But Lu Jingxian was always busy, either with work or social events, and sometimes she wouldn't even come home for a whole week. Now that I decided to stop making her the center of my life, I didn't expect to feel so much lighter all at once. Lu Jingxian had been gone for several days again, and I pulled out my phone and skillfully went to Fu Bowen's social media. As expected, during the days Lu Jingxian was not home, they had been together. This time, Lu Jingxian had taken Fu Bowen on a business trip to another city. They ate together and accompanied clients together. In the photos, Lu Jingxian was smiling happily. At least she didn't smile when she was with me. If it were before, seeing Lu Jingxian getting so close to another man, I would have called her like a madman. Every time she faced my questioning, she could always appear innocent and find countless reasons. Over time, Lu Jingxian became too lazy to even explain and would just slam the door and leave. But now, seeing their photos again, I didn't feel any aversion. I even liked all those posts one by one. Because the meeting I hosted last time was very successful, the company was considering promoting me, but the new position was in another city. At first, I was a bit hesitant about whether to accept it, but now I had made up my mind to get away from Shen Wenhao. When I got off work and went home, I actually saw Lu Jingxian at the company entrance. I subconsciously wanted to avoid her, but Lu Jingxian seemed to have guessed my intention and stepped forward to stop me. Wenhao, I just happened to be in this area on business today, so I thought I'd come pick you up. Okay, I nodded, not looking at Lu Jingxian much. I opened the passenger door, but saw Fu Bowen sitting inside. Wenhao Ji, long time no see. I was out with Jingxian Jie discussing business, and she's giving me a ride home. You don't mind, do you? You're just talking business? Why would I mind? I smiled at Fu Bowen, then opened the back door and got in. Lu Jingxian, who got into the car last, sensed that the atmosphere was a bit off. She hesitated and turned back to explain to me. Bowen was feeling a little carsick, so I let him sit in the front. Isn't car sickness normal? You don't have to explain it to me. I looked at Lu Jingxian calmly, and she looked away, a little guilty. I think she must be very surprised. Although I don't often ride in her car, I always sit in the passenger seat every time I do. I used to be proud to be able to sit in Lu Jingxian's passenger seat. At that time, she was always very impatient, and we even argued about it. But she didn't know that I just wanted to sit next to her, that's all. But now, no matter who sits in her passenger seat, what does it have to do with me? Sitting next to Lu Jingxian, Fu Bowen naturally started chatting with her about company matters. I didn't understand, nor did I want to listen, and even less did I want to participate, so I simply closed my eyes to rest. But even though I didn't want to get involved, Fu Bowen obviously wasn't planning on letting me off the hook. Wenhao Ji, why didn't you go to Jingxian Jie's birthday party at the company a while ago? I didn't know she was having a birthday party. I was too busy that day. I couldn't even remember it was her birthday. I opened my eyes and glanced at Lu Jingxian in the rearview mirror. She looked a little unnatural, her eyes constantly darting around. Fu Bowen rebutted me, pretending to be surprised. But, Wenhao Ji, aren't you guys married for many years? Is it easy to overlook things because you've been together too long? Bowen, stop talking, you guys are chatting, and it's distracting me from driving. Fu Bowen also realized he had said the wrong thing, and he shrank his head, not talking to me anymore. I smiled and closed my eyes again. Fu Bowen thought I had forgotten Lu Jingxian's birthday, but what he didn't know was that, whether it was her birthday or our wedding anniversary, as long as it was related to Lu Jingxian, I remembered everything clearly. The car soon arrived home. After I put my things away, I went into the kitchen to cook noodles. When she saw me come out with only one bowl of noodles, Lu Jingxian's expression stiffened. Wenhao, did you only cook one serving? What about mine? Didn't you eat when you were out on business? Just now? Are you still hungry? I looked at Lu Jingxian with feigned confusion, and she actually shrank back a little weakly. I didn't pay much attention to her and sat down to eat my noodles. She awkwardly got up and sat opposite me, looking hesitant to speak. If it had been before, I would have been unable to help but ask her if she was okay, but now I just wanted to finish my dinner in peace. Seeing that I had no intention of paying attention to her, Lu Jingxian forced herself to speak first. Actually, I remember you were waiting for me that day, but it just so happened that an employee made a big sale, and it also happened to be my birthday. They made a fuss about going out for dinner, and in the rush, I forgot to tell you. Those things are all in the past. Let's not bring them up again. I wasn't really bothered by it. I could see the flash of surprise on Lu Jingxian's face, because that was her usual catchphrase. I remember the last time I relentlessly questioned her about her relationship with Fu Bowen. Maybe Lu Jingxian was annoyed by me pestering her, and she started yelling at me. Bowen is just my assistant. It was obviously just a small thing. Why do you keep bringing it up again and again? Shen Wenhao, will you ever stop? Don't you know that you're being really annoying right now? After that, our longest Cold War began. Snapping back to reality, I quickly finished my noodles. While Lu Jingxian hadn't shown any intention of leaving, I took out the divorce agreement that I had had a lawyer draft in advance and put it in front of her. Lu Jingxian just glanced at the title and couldn't help but sneer. Shen Wenhao, what do you mean by this? Are you going to start a fight about divorce with me again? You're not a child anymore. Is it fun to play these tricks with me all the time? Lu Jingxian didn't even look at the contents and directly swept the divorce agreement to the floor. I looked at her, squatted down to pick up the agreement, and handed it to her again. This time, I'm serious. Lu Jingxian's face visibly darkened. She stood up and slammed her hand down on the divorce agreement. Shun Wenhao, do you always have to make such a fuss? Is it fun for you? Can't you just tell me directly what you want? Or do you think I have nothing better to do than play your games? I looked at her calmly, not saying a word. I knew that if I opened my mouth, it would immediately escalate into a fierce argument. Lu Jingxian gave me a cold glare, then slammed the door and left. I wasn't in the mood to pay attention to where she went or what she was going to do. After putting the divorce agreement in her study, I started looking at apartment listings near my new job. Lu Jingxian didn't come home even after I turned off the lights to go to bed. I was actually glad for the peace and quiet. The next day after work, I saw Lu Jingxian again at the company entrance. Though I was a little surprised, I didn't refuse. As I habitually opened the back door and got in, Lu Jingxian's expression became strange. Wenhao, you're sitting in the back. You're the one driving anyway. Does it matter where I sit? If you think it doesn't matter, then come sit in the front. I shrugged indifferently and got into the passenger seat. But as soon as I sat down, I felt a hard object poking my butt. I picked it up and saw that it was a watch. Lu Jingxian's expression became somewhat unnatural as she saw the watch, and she immediately started to explain. This must be Bowen's watch. He's always losing things. This watch doesn't look cheap. Don't forget to return it to him. I handed the watch to Lu Jingxian. After taking it, she couldn't help but explain, Wenhao, there's really nothing between Bowen and me. You have to believe me. He's just my normal subordinate, and he often catches a ride with me because of work. Jingxian, you don't have to explain. It doesn't matter to me. I interrupted Lu Jingxian before she could finish, shaking my head at her. Lu Jingxian was stunned, looking at me in disbelief. Wenhao, what are you saying? I mean, you don't have to explain to me. I really don't care about your relationship with Fu Bowen anymore. Lu Jingxian's face instantly turned pale. She opened her mouth as if to say something. But I didn't want to get entangled in this topic, so I turned my head to look out the window. From that day on, Lu Jingxian seemed to have more free time. She would come to pick me up from work every day. Every day, I would leave a divorce agreement with my signature on it, but she would always act as if she didn't see it. I wasn't worried about it and didn't push her. I knew that our divorce was inevitable. I just happened to be the one to bring it up first. I wouldn't act as impatient as I had before, because that would only make her think that I was just throwing a tantrum. On the weekend, I left early to take the high-speed train to the branch office to look at apartments. But as soon as I got off the train, I received a call from Lu Jingxian. Wenhao, where are you? I'm working overtime. What's wrong? I instinctively told a lie. I didn't expect her voice to suddenly turn aggrieved. I'm downstairs at your company right now, and there's absolutely no one there. I fell silent. Strangely, Lu Jingxian didn't hang up. Looking at the messages constantly sent by the real estate agent, I casually made an excuse to brush it off. I've been sent out on a business trip. How could you see me at the company? Let's leave it at that. I need to go meet a client. Without giving Lu Jingxian a chance to speak, I hung up the phone directly. In the past, Lu Jingxian often used this phrase to brush me off, and after hearing it so much, I actually learned it. I looked at several houses in a row, but always felt like something was missing, and I couldn't decide. Fortunately, the two cities were not too far apart, and I could still come back again next weekend. When I got home, Lu Jingxian was actually there. Why didn't you tell me you were going on a business trip? You actually went to another city behind my back. I'm a grown man. I just went to another place on a business trip for a day. Do I need to report to you? Looking at Lu Jingxian with her brows furrowed, I couldn't help but laugh. I remembered that before this, Lu Jingxian had gone on a business trip for a whole month. I didn't know where she was. I went crazy calling her. However, after a whole night passed, Lu Jingxian didn't answer a single call. Just when I was getting so worried that I was about to call the police, she called me back. What's the matter? Jingxian, where did you go? I tried to contact you all night and you didn't reply. I was almost worried to death. It's just a business trip. Even if we're married, you don't have to control everything, do you? Do I need to report everything to you? After knowing she was safe, I breathed a sigh of relief. But at the same time, I felt a little angry. But Lu Jingxian didn't give me a chance to speak and quickly hung up the phone. Now the roles were reversed, and she was actually concerned about me. Pulling myself out of my thoughts, I was about to go back to my room to rest, but she grabbed me. However, before she could speak, her phone on the table rang. I could clearly feel her hand tremble slightly, and then she let go of my hand to answer the phone. Sister Jingxian, I have a fever. Could you please come and take me to the hospital? Fu Bowen's slightly weak voice echoed in the quiet room. Lu Jingxian hesitated, her eyes constantly shifting between me and her phone. I grinned and waved at her. They're asking for your help. If you want to go, just go. It's really not comfortable when you have a fever. Wenhao, I'm sorry. Before when you weren't feeling well? I. Go quickly. They might be getting anxious waiting. I didn't want to see Lu Jingxian looking so hesitant now, and I interrupted her unfinished words. She stared blankly at me, wanting to reach out and grab my hand again, but I dodged it this time. Lu Jingxian's empty hand hung in midair for a while before she finally pulled it back. After a while, she spoke again. Tonight, I'll come home for dinner. I didn't respond, and after watching her rush out, I went back to my room to rest. When I woke up, it was already 7 o'clock. I made a meal for two as usual, but Lu Jingxian, as usual, didn't come back. But this time, I didn't wait for her like I used to, and I ate my portion directly. After clearing the dishes, I skillfully opened my social media, and unexpectedly, I didn't see any updates from Fu Bowen this time. Usually, whenever he was with Lu Jingxian, there would be corresponding updates. Perhaps he was really too sick this time, so he was this quiet. I didn't foolishly wait for Lu Jingxian like I used to. And after washing up, I went to bed to scroll through videos. I used to focus all my attention on her, so I was always anxious and insecure. Now that I'm not paying attention to her, I'm surprisingly relaxed. This feeling of relaxation is even happier than what Lu Jingxian gave me. The next day, I went to work as usual, and on the way, I received message after message from Lu Jingxian, so much so that the notification sounds wouldn't stop. I was a little surprised because this was what I used to do for her. The roles between her and me seemed to have switched. I just replied to a message, and Lu Jingxian called immediately. Wenhao, actually I want to go back yesterday, but Bowen's condition was a little serious, so I know it's normal to have a fever and feel unwell. I'm sorry. I clearly said I'd go home for dinner last night. It's okay, I understand. Let's talk later. I have to go to work. Seeing the taxi stop, I perfunctorily hung up the phone. It wasn't until near the end of work that Lu Jingxian sent another message. There's a company gathering today. Are you free? I was a little incredulous. Lu Jingxian's company had gatherings every now and then, but she had never invited me. It's all people from our company. What would you come for? Back then, I wanted to understand Lu Jingxian's life, so I begged her to take me along. But in the end, all I got was this sentence and Lu Jingxian not coming home all night. Before, I begged to go to a gathering and couldn't, but now that Lu Jingxian is inviting me, I've lost interest. What would I do at your company gathering? Besides, I'm meeting some colleagues for dinner tonight, so I won't disturb you. Which colleagues are you having dinner with? Are they female colleagues? It's the one who's working on the same project as me. You wouldn't know them even if I told you. I turned off my phone, and suddenly I felt like the recent scene seemed familiar. I remembered it was when Fu Bowen had just joined the company, and Lu Jingxian's company was having a team-building event. I called her to ask when she'd be home. On the phone, I heard a man calling her name, and I asked who she was with. Maybe I annoyed her with my questions. Lu Jingxian actually couldn't help but scold me over the phone. It's just a new subordinate in the company. You don't know him. Why do you care so much? No matter what, I'm the boss of a company. Is it strange that someone would call me? All you do all day is send messages and make phone calls. If you're not annoyed, I am. Before she hung up, I even heard her explaining to Fu Bowen. It's a salesperson bothering me all day. Now Lu Jingxian is using the same words I used to say to her to ask me, and I gave her the same answer I'd given her back then. Suddenly, I lost patience with her. There are both men and women. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. They're waiting for me. Then drink less. I'll pick you up later. Lu Jingxian was silent for a while, and finally sent me a voice message. Her voice was very soft and gentle. I couldn't even remember the last time she had spoken to me like this. Today's gathering wasn't spontaneous. It was a special celebration organized by my colleagues to congratulate me on my promotion. Everyone at the party was very happy and gave me sincere blessings. I inevitably drank a few too many glasses. However, just as I left the private room to get some fresh air, a familiar figure caught my eye. Was that Lu Jingxian? Was their company's party also here? Before I could hide, Lu Jingxian had already spotted me and came over. She looked a little surprised and happy. Wenhao, didn't you say you had plans? Did you come here specifically to find me? Wenhao, who is this? Are they here to celebrate your promotion too? Before I could even open my mouth, my colleagues came out of the private room, intending to pull me back inside. Looking at Lu Jingxian, who was filled with anticipation, I didn't say anything and let my colleagues pull me back to the private room. Just a friend. We happened to bump into each other here. Anyway, we were getting divorced soon, so I didn't need to explain too much because of Lu Jingxian. But as I entered the room, I subconsciously glanced back. Lu Jingxian's expression was full of disappointment. Was she just now expecting me to introduce her to my colleagues? However, That thought only appeared in my mind for a moment before the lively atmosphere of the private room quickly pushed it aside. Because my gathering was just a small get-together with colleagues, it ended quickly. I sent a message to Lu Jingxian. I'm done here. How about you? Wenhao, wait for me a bit. I can get away soon. Then I'll just go home first. It turns out a colleague is going my way. Have fun. I had heard Lu Jingxian's excuses countless times, and this time I didn't want to believe her again, much less wait foolishly alone. Sitting in my colleague's car, I watched the messages popping up on my phone and simply put it on silent. When I arrived home, I once again placed the divorce agreement on the table. However, this time, I didn't let Lu Jingxian ignore it. Instead, I sat in a chair and waited for her to come back. When Lu Jingxian came in, she saw me waiting for her, just like before, and a slight smile appeared on her face. However, after seeing the divorce agreement beside my hand, the smile instantly vanished. So many days have passed. I think you should be clear that I'm not joking this time. Since we're both here today, let's sign it. Do we really have to go this far? Is there really no room for reconciliation? Lu Jingxian approached me with a bitter smile. Even her voice had a hint of bitterness. I didn't say anything and just looked at her quietly. Suddenly, Lu Jingxian quickened her pace and hugged me tightly. Wenhao, I don't want to get divorced. Please don't do this, okay? Don't you hate seeing me contact Fu Bowen? I can delete him now. Let's not get divorced, okay? It's impossible. You've always known what you've been doing, but it's not like I haven't given you chances. You knew it would hurt me, but you did it anyway. The love I had for you has been completely used up. Besides, we've come to this point not just because of him. We have many problems between us. I helplessly pushed Lu Jingxian away and handed her the divorce agreement. I could see her hand tremble when it touched the divorce agreement. But soon Lu Jingxian, as if she were mad, tore the agreement into pieces. As if she wasn't relieved enough, she threw the shreds on the ground and stomped on them relentlessly with her feet. I don't want a divorce. Wenhao, we can't get divorced. I promise I won't contact him tomorrow, and I promise I'll treat you well in the future. Let's not get divorced, okay? I just stood by and watched Lu Jingxian, letting her vent her emotions. I had once been as hysterical as she was, but all I received was Lu Jingxian's cold indifference. Now that the roles were reversed, it seemed like I somewhat understood her past actions. When facing someone you no longer love, nothing they do can stir your emotions. Jingxian agreed to it. You know in your heart that if we continue this way, neither of us will be happy. And I've accepted the company's transfer order, and I'll be going to another city in a few days. Another city? Where? I also have business in other places, so how about I go with you? Lu Jingxian stopped stomping and looked at me with disbelief, her eyes filled with helplessness. I looked at her and shook my head slightly. Jingxian, it's impossible for us. Let's get divorced. Lu Jingxian, knowing my determination, didn't delay any further and went with me to get a divorce the next day. It was done, and I arrived at the neighboring city as I had wished. However, on my first day of work, I actually saw Lu Jingxian at the company entrance. She was leaning against her car, staring at me intently. I nodded at her as a greeting. In the following days, Lu Jingxian would always appear at the company entrance at the times I got off and went to work, as if only to catch a glimpse of me. My colleagues couldn't help but gossip. Wenhao, is that your girlfriend? I shook my head and didn't speak, my gaze involuntarily shifting away from Lu Jingxian. I had just gotten home and hadn't even had time to change my shoes when Lu Jingxian called. Wenhao, have you eaten? How about we go out for a meal? How do you know I haven't eaten? You used to start cooking at 7. You definitely haven't eaten yet. There was a hint of smugness in Lu Jingxian's tone, as if she had caught on to my habits. I couldn't help but chuckle. She used to ignore me, but now that we're divorced, she's paying attention to me? I'm already cooking. You should find your own place to eat. But I'm not familiar with this place, and I don't know where's good to eat, can I? No, if you just want to invite me to eat, I don't think there's any need for us to continue this conversation. Lu Jingxian fell silent on the other end of the phone. I was too lazy to listen to the rest, so I just hung up. While cooking, my phone beeped a couple of times. I didn't pay attention and forgot all about it. It wasn't until the next morning that I noticed the messages Lu Jingxian had sent. Wenhao, I think I have a fever. Can you come down and take me to the hospital? I'm downstairs from your place. I feel awful. My head is spinning. Are you asleep? Why aren't you replying? As I was leaving for work, I replied to her message. You're not a kid anymore. If you don't feel well, just buy some medicine or go to the hospital for N4. After replying, I threw myself wholeheartedly into my workday. Near the end of the workday, a colleague came over, gossiping as usual. Wenhao, why haven't we seen the beauty who usually waits for you today? Did you two have a fight? It was then that I realized that Lu Jingxian hadn't bombarded me with messages all day and she hadn't appeared at the company entrance either. I thought she finally gave up. If Fu Bowen hadn't called me later, I would have really thought Lu Jingxian had given up. Brother Wen Hao, sister Jingxian, got into a car accident. Why don't you go take care of her? It's not far from your workplace. She's not a child. If she's not feeling well, she can hire a nurse, can't she? I'm not her nanny. If you're willing to be a nanny, you can come over. Fu Bowen fell silent on the other end of the line. I sneered and hung up the phone directly. If it were in the past, after knowing Lu Jingxian was in a car accident, I wouldn't even need to be reminded. I would have rushed over to take care of her myself. Even if it was just a small cold, I would have called and messaged her tirelessly, reminding Lu Jingxian to take her medicine and rest. But back then, she was very annoyed by me. I'm not a child. Don't I know my own condition? Do you have to bother me every day reminding me? Don't annoy me. I'm busy. I don't have time to waste on these trivial matters. Just as I hung up Fu Bowen's phone, Lu Jingxian called me. Her voice was weak, even with a hint of pleading. Wen Hao, can you come see me? We're divorced already, and I have work. I believe you can handle it yourself. Then can you come keep me company for a while? As a friend? Let's forget about it. I don't think our relationship can continue as friends after a divorce. Lu Jingxian fell silent, and I didn't want to continue arguing with her, so I hung up the phone again. A few days passed, and Lu Jingxian appeared again downstairs from my place, with bandages wrapped around her hand. She seemed to have been waiting for a long time, and she ran over to greet me when she saw me. Wen Hao, are you free to have a meal with me today? Jingxian, I think I've made myself clear so you don't have to do this. I stood there, looking at her calmly. Lu Jingxian seemed anxious and reached out to grab me, but I dodged her again. She silently withdrew her hand, and I could even see the light dimming in her eyes. Wen Hao, today is our 5th wedding anniversary. Have you forgotten? I thought for a moment. It was indeed a bit blurry. If it were in the past, I would remember all the holidays related to Lu Jingxian clearly, without any mistakes. Maybe it's because I've been too busy recently, or maybe I've chosen to selectively forget her. That's why I can't remember. We're divorced now. Does this holiday still have any meaning? Yes, just treat it like you're humoring me. Just this once, okay? Please. At this time, Lu Jingxian's tone was almost pleading, and her eyes were full of anticipation. I have an appointment with a colleague today. I'm going upstairs to change, and then I'll leave. Wen Hao now, in your eyes, am I less important than your colleagues? Jingxian, I have a new life now, and I think you don't need to be stuck in the past. It's pouring. Wait for me at the company. I'll go pick you up. Wen Hao, Lu Jingxian suddenly hugged me, her strength so great that I couldn't break free for a moment. Wen Hao, please forgive me. I've already fired Fu Bowen. I won't have any contact with him in the future. Please forgive me for the sake of our many years together. Jingxian, haven't you realized yet? The reason we ended up like this isn't entirely because of him. Even if it wasn't him, there would have been others, wouldn't there? I really don't care what you two are like now. I looked at Lu Jingxian, smiling faintly. She was stunned for a moment, and her tightly clinging hands loosened. She stared at me, trying to find hope in me. After a long while, tears welled up in her eyes, and then she lowered her head. I knew she saw it clearly. She knew I wasn't being spiteful, and she could no longer salvage this relationship. Jingxian, goodbye. I said goodbye to her, and turned to go upstairs.